So I'm Cameron Bonsey. I wanted to welcome everybody today, and I wanted to introduce you to one of my favorite people in the world and one of the most capable people that I know. Somebody full of laughter. She's smiling now and passion. Felicia Newman. And Felicia, as we were just talking about your title, something to do with production, planning, quality, products, and jack of all trades. You're director, and I know that this year has been a real challenge with COVID, with demands for our products and your time, and also our continued focus on putting the best products out there, in which you are enormously responsible. So thank you for being on the show today. How was that for an introduction?
Well, I guess it's over now. It can only go downhill from here.
Yeah, you're done. So,
Yeah, it has been.
yeah,
It's been
talk
crazy here.
in the adjustments and some of the basic challenges that have come up that we've had to focus on product quality.
Yeah, I mean, so in the big picture, just to back up a little bit,
Sure.
I'm in charge of procurement as well. So that when everybody stayed home in the spring, which is, COVID is awful for so many reasons, but for us, it's been a boon.
Yeah.
And it just happened to coincide that in the springtime, which is when you would plant anyway, everyone was home and not just home, but stuck at home.
Sure.
So it was a great way for people to get out and get more active in their gardening, whether that's flowers or vegetables. There's a lot of new vegetable gardeners this year, or even just dressing up their property. So on our end at Coast of Maine, demand hit a spike like we normally see a spike in the spring, but it was a spike like, how do you plan for that, right? So I'm supposed to be the planner. And so we, making sure, circling back to product quality, compost takes time to manufacture. So it certainly was a stress on the material supply side for everything that we buy. And then on the outbound side, manufacturing and then outbound as well. So it's been a wild ride.
Well, it's also, one of the things that I found remarkable in this process too. One of the things that we really benefited from having a second production facility, getting everything up to snuff there, and building inventory. We actually built way more inventory to begin the year than we ever had. And kudos to you and your
Yeah.
team and the folks down in Quarryville and the folks at Marion. So we were really fortunate there. But then keeping up,
Yep.
it was exhausting for everybody, right?
Yeah. We never like got to a place. Normally we're very seasonal. And
Yep.
so, this, each department kind of has its own up and down depending on what it is. But with respect to manufacturing, there's usually this huge increase in intensity of everything that you do from like March 1st to June 15th. And then it tapers off after that. And you kind of have a time to recover as an employee. And we didn't get that this year. So it's been full throttle for every manufacturing employee and still is now playing catch up. So and so with that comes all of the procurement side of that and the raw material side of that, and then the shipping on the other end. It's certainly challenged every aspect of our business.
Yeah, and I love the way that internally, and the folks who watch this won't know it, but we have such wonderful communication, like with Sid Malone and the meetings that we do, and the ability to shift and work in the moment and meet that demand, and also the empowerment that somebody like Sid gives you to be able to say, you go do it. And I love his leadership. in that way. And I know that 2021 obviously is going to be a challenging year, and we're expecting still monumental growth. And I know that we've got everything lined up on the procurement side to go do as much as we can. We're putting in high-speed lines. We're going to be able to produce more once the compost is ready to go. So we're doing all the right things. That's one of the things that this year has allowed us to do with capital investments. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, when I think about this, and I think of this enormous work in what you do, you get involved in so many things. You're one of the most capable people I know. I say that in all seriousness. But then you come home, and this is where the magic happens with your farm, right? And
Yeah.
so talk about the farm. Let's talk about some passion.
Yeah, it's, if you back up in my life, let's see, I've been with Coast of Maine 7 years, a little over 7 years, and 7? I think it's 7. I don't know. It's been a while.
Remember I said
Yeah.
2003 on another interview, because you get
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. So in my work life before this didn't match with what my personal interests are. And so although I'm not a certified organic farmer, meaning like a third party certified me, I
Yep.
certainly understand the rules and I farm organically. And I am the market manager for the local farmers market and a vendor there and sell produce. So I have a 1/4 acre farm, like 1/4 acre under cultivation, actually a little bit more now. I told Brian not to use the rototiller anymore because I can't handle it. If he rotates or rototill something and then I have to plant it. And so it's like a disease in my head or something, like I can't not tend it.
We'll just let the audience know that Brian is your husband.
Yeah. That's his contribution to the farm is mechanical with equipment. And he eats on the other end. So he likes that. He's got his own business that he's got to run. But so I farm. I love it. Other than initial groundbreaking with the rototiller and the big tractor, I do it all by hand. And this year, like if you want to talk about farmers, holy moly, did they get thrown for a loop early in the spring, just like Coast of Maine did. I mean, everybody did. So I am fortunate enough to live far enough north. I'm almost at the 45th parallel, and right on the coast of Maine. Literally, I can see the ocean from my farm. The season starts later up here, the outdoor season. So backing up into March of 2020, I'm on a lot of Facebook groups for farmers and market gardeners and all that kind of stuff. And I was watching other farmers who had their whole system started. So meaning they had all their seeds planted and their transplants going into the field to support restaurant sales. And then all the restaurants closed. And a lot of those farmers farmed lettuce. And there's a very short window where lettuce is any good compared to other crops. Like you can stretch other things or store them, where lettuce, you just can't. And so if you aren't set up to sell at retail and you have a system built for like restaurant sales, it's a huge problem for small farmers like me, or was.
Yep.
So I luxuriously had the opportunity, because of where I am, to watch that unfold and switch my model of my farm this year to a CSA model, direct sell to consumers, versus a restaurant model. And man, did it save my bacon. But it changes what you grow. And thankfully I keep enough seeds so I could do that. But I went from like before I probably did 50% restaurants, roughly, as far as dollar sales, maybe a little more, maybe 60% restaurant, 10% CSA share, and then the other 40 was at the farmers market. And so I flipped that right around to probably 75% CSA, and sold out with one Facebook post in 72 hours in March. It's
Wow,
pretty
that's
crazy.
remarkable because, you know, again, getting back to your capabilities too in that same moment. I mean, you do the same thing at work, and um, that ability to make a decision in the moment and go instinctually and just create this thing, and then you're a doer. And the other piece that I think that no other company has, we have, is somebody like you who is, you know, they're an organic farmer, they're a market grower, they're in charge of production, they're taking all this knowledge of, you have a chemical engineering base, and then you get all the soil to play around with, right? So you
Mhm.
actually understand our soil. You're working.
Mhm.
It's not just that you're getting a soil test back or you're getting some mini grow out back. I mean, I think the value of you is to have that ability for you to say, no, this is how it really works outdoors. This is how it really works exposed to all the world. These are the things that I had to come up against. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, depending on what your perspective is, if you're looking at it from Coast of Maine, then it's certainly a benefit. If you're looking at it as a farmer, then I'm one of the most spoiled people on earth, you know, like,
You are
because
so, what I've
I
always
know,
thought.
I know. I have essentially unlimited access to compost and fertilizer,
Yep.
which is amazing if you're a farmer. Like I'm literally, with respect to that, I'm spoiled. On the flip side of that, that means that I actually have to handle personally all of that material.
Yes.
So, from the past that I'm not a person you want to actually arm wrestle.
Oh no, it's part of your fitness routine, and stop making me feel bad about myself physically, okay? Because I don't want, I don't want anybody looking at my arms compared to yours. So
But yeah, I handle a lot of soil, and so I intentionally will take um, bagged soil that's intended for sale and use it like it's supposed to be used.
yep.
And I run all of our SKUs through their paces. I guess probably more so as far as a percent of the total than any other company I know. Um, and make sure it all does what it's supposed to do. So I grow some pretty kicking vegetables.
So if you had your druthers, all right, of exactly what you wanted to do from a passion standpoint going forward, and you can make a living doing it, it would be what?
This is so funny. Exactly what I'm doing. I
Yeah.
get bored really easy, like really easy. So the idea that I would be just a farmer probably wouldn't fly. Although there's so much physical labor that goes with that. It's hard to, you get so tired that you don't get bored. But and there's always challenges. Probably another time we can talk about seasonality and climate change and what that means for farming.
Yep. That's a
Um,
great subject. Yep.
yeah, the next one, that's probably what we should do. But on the other side, I have this work history and personality that lends itself very well to manufacturing.
Right.
So, and I don't think I would do very well at Coast of Maine if I did have just one title. Like if that was it and that was my whole workplace, like I wouldn't still be here. Part of what I love about being at Coast of Maine, besides the fringe benefit of unlimited compost, um, is my role is kind of that of a fixer or a problem solver. So I'm never next year at this time, I won't be doing the same thing that I am right now this year at this time. Like I'm a project worker. So it's really cool that I kind of roll through different projects because I don't get bored. And so to answer your original question, if you had backed up 10 years and asked me that, it would probably be a different answer because I couldn't even fathom that this kind of yin and yang of personal and professional could really exist. So the question that is all I always ask myself is, what's farm and what's my day job? Like, because they're so intertwined at this point that I have to be very careful just out of my own personal like place, when I work on the farm and when I work at Coast of Maine. So because I don't want either one to win over the other one, I guess. I don't know if win's the right word, but
No, well, I'm relieved that you answered that question that way. But,
well, there are times when I get frustrated on both sides of that fence, but
I think that the challenges and what you bring to Coast of Maine and the value that you bring, I know is appreciated across the whole team and also from our consumers as you become a personality on Instagram and Facebook. So we're getting up on being over 15 minutes, and what you brought up is part of what I want to be able to create here. So I think that we focus, as you mentioned just a few minutes ago, that we'll focus on seasonality and climate change as a farmer on the next get together that we have with you to talk about this. And I think that if any of our customers, whether it's a consumer, a garden center, a grower that sees you in this type of setting, they understand how capable you are. So I really appreciate you. I appreciate you being on the show. And I can't, as always, can't wait to talk to you again, which I'll probably talk to you in a couple of minutes. But
yeah.
I'll talk to you next week. All right?
Yeah, awesome. I'll be right here.